Is it good? Yeah, I gotta get on. Like 1 minute. I gotta go grab my water. Welcome, everybody. Ray Horn, congratulations. You got Robert by a minute from LaPorte, Indiana. Ray's been on the live a couple of times. I think last week he asked a couple of questions, had a few things to add. So we'll see how tonight goes. We've got no football to compete with. So as we get ready for the Super Bowl, so we'll see if how well I do without competing with the NFL. So thank you guys very much for joining. We've already got some folks on. If you have not been, I am Captain Matt, Boat Buyer's secret weapon, my fancy hat that I had made. And if you haven't been on, here's how it goes: is you put in your question and I answer it to the best of my ability. If I don't have an answer for you, I will let you know. If I have an opinion that is not based on real world experience, where it's an expert opinion, I'll let you know that as well. If you have expert information input, feel free to add it in. We have Brock, who was on the live with us last week when I was down in Charleston. He's been very valuable resource for myself as well as other people in the community. He joined me on a podcast. He joined me for the live last week, which turned out to be a lot of fun. I think we went darn near 2 hours against a very, very exciting football game with the Rams. And I know, yeah, I think it was the Rams. That was the late game. But Brock there and there he is. We had a really good time. We were sitting in the little breakfast area of the whatever hotel I was staying in. I don't remember what it was, the Hyatt or something like that. And man, it was almost an hour in, and we're like, holy crap, that went quick. And then we stayed on for another 30, 45 or more minutes. So throw your questions out there. I will do my best to get to everybody. I will talk a little bit about the boat show and what I'm working on now. One of the things that I'm working on is what I'm calling the Boater Boot Camp. We've got the toolkit that's free for boat buyers if you're a shopper. that Boat Buyer's Toolkit. It's totally free. It's got the cost of ownership calculator. It's got some companion videos. It is, let's see, I've got, yeah, here we go. It is a long, you've got your boat selector tool. You've got questions to ask private sellers. You've got a boat shopping tracker. You've got inspection checklists that are, I mean, that's 2 pages of inspection checklists, 3 pages, trailer inspection, demo checklist, 2 pages. And it is just boat insurance, trade research. It's just packed with just a bunch of great stuff to keep you on track. Then we've got the other programs, but I wanted to do something for boat owners. So I'm putting the boater boot camp together, and it's all about the basics of what you need to know as a newer boat owner. So, all right, so let's take a look here. Been picking through the best boat captain on the water, and you said you tow skiers and wakeboarders off the ski tow bar, but tubes off the lower portion of the boat deck or the back. So, Robert, it depends on what brand of boat you have. So when I'm towing on a pontoon, it's either a Harris or it's a South Bay. Those are typically the 2 pontoons that I'm running. Okay. When I'm towing a tube, I'm towing typically a big Mabel or a super Mabel, which is a 2-seater and a 3-seater. Tow my boat down to North Carolina and meet you. Okay, yeah. So a Harris 22. Here's the thing with those ski tow bars is 90% of the time you're not going to have a single issue if you tow from the tow bar. But here's the thing: they have like a 400 to 500 pound rating. The Barletta has the best in class, and I think there's like 900 pounds. And they say it's okay to tow a tube with this one, and it is. But on the Harris, which is I pull off a 210 cruiser with a 115 when I'm using that boat here in the Carolinas, and the reason I tow it off the tow points are the trailer eyes on the back of the tunes that are welded on super secure is because if that tube nosedives, that's going to be a ton of pressure on the boat, and what happens is it's when you go real slow and it acts like a scoop, like a bucket scoop, and it just dives down and it just scoops that water up, and that force on that tow bar it'll snap it. Now, probably not going to happen, but I can tell you I've towed a lot of tubes on a lot of different boats with a lot of people, and every now and again I'll go a little bit too fast, but not slow enough. And I'll scoop the water, and I'll scoop it up, and it will nosedive. Maybe my girls are messing around and they get a little bit too far forward on the tube, and it nosedives and it scoops up that water. And now there's several 100 pounds of pressure, maybe 1,000 pounds of pressure or more, pulling on that ski tow bar. And for me, for a $700,000, $1,500 piece of equipment that if you snap it, you could also do some damage to the structure of the boat. It's just not worth it. So I have a little Y harness that I have little stainless steel clips on it. Boom, I clip it on each side. It's got a tow point, and I hook the tow rope to that. Now, if your kids are younger and you're not going super fast, they want a little more aggressive ride, I would get one of those balls that you slide on the rope, and now it floats it because the rope will get tied up in the whitewash of the wake, and that will get it up out of the water, and now you can really get them swinging around. So it's a personal preference. You'll go on chat rooms and you go on Facebook, and they'll say, "I've been doing it for years," and I'm sure they have. They are not lying, but I just know because I'm cautious. That's why I do it that way. Okay, and I don't know, where are you located, Robert? Are you the one that was in Indiana? No, that was Ray. That was in Indiana. Um, Ohio. Ohio, okay. Yeah, so that's a little far. That's a little far. But if you come down hey, if you come down to the Charlotte area, we got some beautiful lakes down here, and, oh, yeah, okay, Robert, I gotcha. Dayton, Ohio. Yeah, if you come down, we, could have a fun time on the water. So, I see it's like, Huck's up in Minneapolis. His name's Charlie, but his screen name is Huck. So I was talking to him on email as Charlie, talking to him on the lives and in the comment as Huck's 2012 or whatever it is. And it took me a while. He had to introduce himself as, "Hey, by the way, I am Huck's as well." So now I know who you are. So all right, Anthony, the Charleston Boat Show. Here's what I found. This is the next thing I wanted to talk about. Um, There was and Brock and I talked about it last week, about 2/3 of the normal number of boats that were there. Of the boats that were there, I would say about half of them were sold before they got to the show or sold during the show. I was there on late Saturday and all day Sunday. Show started on Friday, there. So they were by the time I got there, at I think the show opened at 10 on Saturday or 10 on yeah, 10 on Saturday and went till 6. I got there about 4 because I coached my daughter's basketball game and then drove the 3 hours down to Charleston to the show and didn't get there till about 4:15 or so into the show. At that point, I would say dang near half of the boats had a sold sign on them. Okay. Now there was I spent the 2 hours and I was the last one in the booth on Saturday where they were packing up and the sales guys were cracking a beer and relaxing. I got there first thing in the morning on Sunday, and I was able to see virtually every boat that was there. I say virtually because I didn't get into the Marine Max booth with Scout and Sea Ray. I've inspected those boats. I've sold those boats, so I've got a pretty good handle on them. But I was able to get through the entire show. The inside, there's an inside portion and an outside portion in Charleston. The inside portion, I would say that 2/3 number holds up there. There were no Grady Whites. The Grady White dealer sells Sea Hunt. They had only Sea Hunt. Last year, that booth had probably 15, maybe 20 boats. This year, there was 0 Grady's, and there were 4 Sea Hunts. Um, Key West had a pretty full booth, but 90% of theirs were sold. At every dealer I talked to, here's what I heard. We are using customer boats. These are sold boats. We just didn't deliver them um, prior to the show, so we had something to show. Customer knows it, but it's their boat and it was sold before we even got here. And in several brands, we are on to 2023 models. So we are selling orders for 2023 boats, which will come out. They'll usually start getting built in July, August. And then anything that's delivered after a certain date in August, every manufacturer has that date, comes out and is stamped the next model year. So for this year, August will be, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 7 months from now. They're sold out for 7 months, and anything that they sell will be built after August and marked to 2023 and have 2023 pricing. So what that means is, and I've got a letter that my father-in-law sent me on Cobalt, and they had an 8% price increase last October, which is so they did their year price increase for in July for the 2022 models. Then they had another price increase in October of 8%. I don't know what the July price increase was, but I would guess about 5%. And then they've got another price increase that will they're expecting this spring. kind of depending on what demand does, how motor situations are, components, what the supply chain looks like. They're expecting another price increase maybe in May, June timeframe, and then another price increase in August for the 2023 model. So that's kind of what we're expecting. I heard it the same story dealer to dealer to dealer. And what's interesting is it sounds like a sales pitch to get you to buy now, but what I heard from some other dealers that I talked to was we have a lot of people that we talked to last spring and we told them, "Hey, this is what we're seeing. You need to order your boat now because if you don't, prices are going to go up and you're not going to get it for the season." Well, they didn't order it. And now it came around to wintertime and they got that same thing. And not only did they get that same sales pitch, but they also saw a price increase there. And Brock saw this on his Sportsman. The price is 100 grand today, or the price was 100 grand 6 months ago when they were shopping. Now the price is 108 grand. And the expected price, if you don't order it today, we're expecting that price to be 116 grand in another 6 months. And it's not a sales pitch, it's the reality. So that's what I learned. The Charlotte show is this coming weekend. I looked at it. The three biggest dealers in our market area, Lake Norman Marina, Boat Rack, and Marine Max, which has two stores. That's the store I used to sell for here in the Carolinas. They had three stores and or no, I'm sorry, two stores. Marine Max has two stores. Boat Rack has one. Lake Norman Marina has one. So they're out. They're not in the show. Couple other dealers that I know in the area are not participating. But there was of the, let's say, 20 dealers, maybe 15 of them displaying. And they were the smaller dealers. So that's kind of what I expect to see in different areas as well, is because they just don't have product to show. They're already selling out. Why would they invest and I'm working on my market update report. They're working on selling 2023 models. They can't even get enough boats to sell now. So why would they spend all that money to drive even more traffic that they can't fulfill? And the promoters last year canceled some shows and didn't give refunds. They said, "Hey, we had to pay for the facility. We already paid for the marketing. You're out of luck." So I think that put a bad taste in people's mouths. So, all right. Do they really give the best deals at the boat shows, or can someone negotiate a good deal outside the show? Usually, yes, they do great deals at the boat show. Let's see what Brock had to say on this one. Brock, what I found is the dealer I went to couldn't deal on the boat, but all the dealers add accessories you could haggle on. Okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty common is the accessories have higher margins than the boats do. Always. The margins on boats, anywhere from 15 to 25% or so now. Everything's kind of pushed up. The nationally advertised price boats, Yamaha boats, the entry level, Scout, Key West, Tahoes, the smaller boats are nationally advertised price, with the manufacturer set says this is what we pay. They're usually at 15 to maybe 17%. As you get further up the chain, you get 18 to 20. And now things are pushing into, maybe 22, 23, 24, 25. But in typical times, yes, in a boat show environment, and I did this video, or how to win at the boat show or something like that's what I called it. But that doesn't necessarily, let's see here, boat show, how to win at the boat show. That video was done 2 years ago, and I absolutely agree, or absolutely believe that in that environment, it's early in the season when they have inventory. You're pitting this dealer against that dealer. They see him across the hall. They know if you're going to buy at that show and you buy from that dealer, they lose. So they're going to negotiate. If you do it the right way, you can win in that situation. In today's world, it doesn't matter. In today's world, there's so much demand that you just need to get the boat when you can and then negotiate as much as possible. And you may say, well, shoot, we can't negotiate at all. I just got an email from a guy. Let's see if I can find it. Let's see. Let me go to my happy email folder. Brandon, it was. So Brandon sent me an email that he was buying a Manitou Aurora LE23 RFVP. They quoted him 49.5. This is exactly what we are just talking about. 49.556 last year when he was shopping. He didn't buy it. He said, I'm going to wait. They came back and they said, well, now the boat, we're adding an $1,100 surcharge, and the price is $53,789, an 8.5% price increase. And he was asking me, he invested in the best, or the First Time Boat Buyers Academy. And he was asking me, hey, is that legit? Like, is that, I'm like, yeah, I showed him the Cobalt letter that I got. And I said, but here's the thing is negotiate the deal anyway. Yes, there's a price increase. There's high demand, but negotiate the deal because, and he ended up getting a $2,500 discount that he really wasn't expecting. So I'm going to say right now in this environment, it doesn't matter at all, but negotiate. My magic money saving method that I teach in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy on how to negotiate, and then some negotiation techniques when you're working with a dealer specifically. There's other savings to be had when you know how they make their money, and give you some strategies for that and some very, very specific tactics. But right now, it doesn't matter at all. Matter of fact, I wouldn't wait, because the further in the season we go, the more likely there's going to be another price increase, the more likely they're not going to have the boat you want, the further back in the line you're going to get, and you're not going to get your boat for this season. You may get your boat next winter. So, Captain Leon did a great review of center consoles at the New York Boat Show. Rob, I'm gonna have to check that out. You put me on to him in a comment somewhere. I hadn't watched his stuff, but he's got a nice channel up there in New York, and he's got if I remember right, it was a Yamaha jet boat, which is probably what attracted Rob to him. And Rob, I'm glad no football this weekend, so you're not having to. Oh, and Brock too. Brock told me when we were together last weekend that that he split screens me. He puts the football game up on his big screen, and the football's one screen and I'm the other screen. Which, that made me laugh a little bit. So glad to have you, Rob, and I'll have to check that one out. I'll have to see what he had to say. All right. Ray says, last weekend you suggested a box anchor, sandy bottom, grass, and weeds. Any way to protect the transducer from picking up? Oh man, I don't have any ideas there. If anybody boats up in the Minnesota area, or any of the areas where you've got a lot of grassy, little bit shallower lakes, on protecting that transducer, Ray, what I can do is I've got some people I know up in that area that may have some ideas. The one thing that I would suggest is the mounting location probably makes a difference. What do you have, Ray? Do I know what kind of boat you have in Indiana? Tell me what kind of boat you have, and I may see if a idea pops in my head as we're talking, because sometimes that happens with me, is just ideas will pop in my head as we're talking and I'm not directly thinking about it. Okay. So yeah, Rob is saying that his 212 Yamaha jet boat went up around 6,000, 8%. That seems to be the number that I've been hearing from a lot of dealers. Is there wiggle room on the Yamaha boats? 12-month delay between order? No, Bruce, there is not. And that is, they are so, yeah, you said 12-month delay between order and delivery. Rob just said they had an 8% increase, and Rob took delivery of his just a handful of months ago. I don't remember for sure, Rob, but I think it was like 3 months ago when you told me that, you took delivery of yours, maybe 4 months ago. But, yeah, it on the Yamahas, they do nationally advertised price, which means they set the margin for the dealer. When I was selling Yamahas, it was at 15% from the dealer. The dealer could add freight, prep, and delivery of no higher than like $1,800. They had a set amount. You can't go higher than this, and you had to send all contracts into them. And so that puts you at like a just under 18% margin for a dealer, depending on the boat, depending on a couple of different things, how much you put towards the deal to rig it, things like that. But even when I was selling, I didn't discount Yamaha boats. It was, this is the price plus the 18 whatever for delivery, prep, and whatever. And I delivered a bunch of them, and I never ever discounted them, because we were always sold out even back then. Back then we would get 30 boats, and by June they would all be gone. And so we didn't have to. And right now it's even more so. They canceled, from what I understand, they canceled like 6,000 order boats um, last year, where they said, okay, we're not going to get these boats delivered by 2022. They're by end of 2021. They're going to be 2022s. There's going to be a price increase. Do you want to do it? And that, I don't know what percentage of that 6,000 canceled, but they said, here's the deal. They're not going to be this year's boat. They're going to be next year's, and there's going to be a price increase, and we don't know when they're coming for sure. So I would be just absolutely shocked if you were able to get a discount on that. With that said, I would try. I would absolutely ask if you can. I would use some of the other negotiation techniques that I use for dealers in the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. Get some other concessions, but a true cash discount, I would be shocked if you did. But try. That's the deal. Quality used boats. Looks like the best market for quality used boat sellers. Yeah, used boats right now are incredibly hot because the demand is so high and the inventory is so low on the new boats. People are saying, "Well, crap, I can't get it's 12 months. It's 12 months before I get my Yamaha, so I'll buy a used boat." Same thing Brock did. Brock said, "I can buy a new one." Oh, they just raised the price on me and they pushed my delivery date back. So he ended up buying a pre-owned one that he got an okay deal on it. But that's another used boat sold. It pushes all the used boats up because there's a lot of people doing that. For sure. Yeah. Sorry, Rob, that your team got beat, but I'm glad you were able to stick around instead of just popping in to say, hey. And okay, well, now I'm in with the international crowd, split screening with the Olympics. I was watching curling the other day with my wife. So exciting winter events, and the snowboarding is fun. Okay, that's right, Ray. A 2021 Bennington Tri-Tune. So yeah, the Benningtons, they've got the good ski tow bar, but as far as the mounting position, you've got that bracket that it's going to be mounted to, so you really don't have any leeway there. The only thing I could think of, and I don't know how I feel about it for sure, but like welding some kind of a guard on there to, you can still, the transducer can still shoot down, but it's going to protect it. I don't know. Let me ask around, see if I can get you something there. Um, yeah, Robert says my Harris would have gone up 2,500 had I not ordered in December. And it's just, it sounds like a sales pitch. It's not. It frankly isn't. I hope everybody that's listening knows I try to give just the reality of the situation. I have no agenda whether you buy a boat or not. It doesn't really matter to me. What I want is to make sure if you do buy a boat, you get the best deal possible, and more importantly, you get the right boat. The right boat. You don't make some of the mistakes. So, yeah, Bruce, probably not what you wanted to hear, but But the reality here, Rob, again, and I don't know if Hux is on tonight, but he just took delivery of a Yamaha as well. If he wants to share his situation, Rob says ordered a 2022, delivered January 21. So what is that? August, September, October, November, December, January. So 5 months. Originally late April delivery, and no discounts. So for what it's worth, ordered my boat October 2020, April delivery, didn't get it till June. Yeah. I think what happened with Rob may be that somebody else had that same boat on order that was ahead of him, and they said, I'm out. I'm not going to wait that long. Or there was a price increase for them from when they were quoted to what they got. And he may have got his boat early. The other thing that's really interesting that I want to figure out how to do a video on this. Maybe if I talk through it now, I can put it together in my head. The way my mind works is the way ordered boats work is the manufacturer has a schedule of when they're going to build certain boats, and they try to build a bunch of the same boats at the same time. So let's take Yamaha, for example. They're going to have their production run, and it's just a factory that's just a big, long section, a line. They start with the gel coat, then they get the hole, they pop the hole out, and they load up a cart with everything that needs to go with that boat, and they push it down the line, and it goes from we put the electrical in, we put the all the stuff in, and we put the top and the bottom together. Then we put the engines in, or they put the engines in first, and put the top and bottom together, get everything rigged up. Then we put it together, seal it up, and then we water test it maybe. And so what they do is they'll run all the 212s down the line, and they'll say, okay, we've got 2 weeks of running 212s down the line. Boom, they'll run all those, and then they'll run the 230 AR, and then they'll run the whatever. Okay, so each section they've got a timed or a number unit that they're going to build, and they'll say, okay, ABC dealer, you've got 2 spots in this production run. XYZ dealer, you've got 3 spots in this production run. And so what happens is one dealer could have sold all of their spots out in that production run, and they have to wait until the next time they get around to building those 212s. So one dealer may be able to get their boat a little bit early. Another dealer, because they're typically sell more, will have to wait till the next production run or even 2 production runs. And so it's really interesting that it's not just this deal or this manufacturer is 6 weeks out, 8 weeks out, 6 months out. It may be that this manufacturer is that far out, but a dealer may have a spot where they can get in. And so I've got to figure out how to say that in a more concise way, and explain all the inner workings of. Sometimes it's different. Sometimes dealer will trade spots. They'll say, hey, I've got a 212 spot that I don't have a customer for. I'll give you that spot if you give me this spot. And dealers will do some kind of horse trading like that. All right. I did get lucky. Mine started building in December, was delivered. Holy smokes. That's quick. That's quick. So, and pontoons are a little bit easier because they can have a 21 foot, because the pontoons, the bracing, the decking, the flooring is the same. It's not until they get to the fencing and the furniture that things change. But think about, you can build the tunes, the structure, all the way to the deck before it really matters what that boat is, unless a pontoon versus tri-tune. That's the only real difference between the boats. They can put a fish, they can put a quad lounge, they can put a swing back lounge, they can put an L shape on that same base. So they can be a little bit quicker and a little more flexible in the way their production goes. Where if you're building Yamahas, and not so much with Yamaha, because they do a really good job of making a efficient process. They have, even before this pandemic, they were probably the most strategic and lean manufacturer in the industry as far as customizing boats. But like a Sea Ray, if you've got a 23-foot deck boat or a 24-foot deck boat, you got to start with the hull. You can't do anything until you have the right hull on a fiberglass boat. So no, Bob, Cobalt was not at the Charleston show. That's a saltwater market, so almost everything is center console or dual console. There was maybe a couple of Sea Rays and some Chaparrals, but and there was Bayliner was there, and there was a Stingray, two Stingray deck boats that showed up this weekend at the Charlotte show. The Cobalt dealer's not going to be there either. So this weekend, I won't get a chance to see the new R6 and R8s. But the Knoxville Boat Show is coming up. Why do I not have that on my calendar? Anyway, the Knoxville Boat Show is coming up, and they've got a Cobalt dealer that my father-in-law got his boat from. So hopefully they'll have a few pieces of inventory, and they'll have a show. Although that show is traditionally pretty small, from what I understand. I've not been. Yeah, Rob says that's exactly what happened. His order got canceled, or not. Somebody else's order got canceled. He got their boat. So Hux also got a Yamaha. Ordered first week of June, got on the top of the wait list. Boat arrived in December. It's almost like it's taunting you. You got it early, but now it's just taunting you through the foot of snow that Hux has up there in Minnesota. Still sealed with manufacturing prep dealer. Will not start till April. Yeah, and that's fine. As long as they get you on when the water warms up, nothing you can do with it now anyway with ice. So yeah, that's perfect. Hux, did you if you don't mind sharing, did you experience a price increase from the time you first started talking to them to taking delivery? So not necessarily when you ordered in June to December. I don't think you got a price increase in there, but from the first time you talked to your dealer, did you experience any price increase with Yamaha? If you don't mind sharing. Good. Thank you, Travis. It's it's a concept that I haven't talked about in any videos. I've talked about it on lives a few times, but I need to get it right in my head so I can explain it in maybe a 5-minute video or 7-minute video or something like that. So, all right. Any keep bringing the questions in. We're almost to our record. We're at 23 people on the live right now. Oh, 21. Disappointing. I want to try to get to 30 if we can. Usually it's after the first 30 minutes or so that people start jumping on, questions start rolling in. So shipping bumped up 850, boat was fixed at price. Okay. So he in what was his time frame? June to December of last year was he got a $850 price increase. Bruce, that's so hopefully that gives you a pretty good idea and gives you the ability to make a smart choice for yourself as to what makes sense. First time boat owner, what do you think of Crest pontoon boat? Bought one before I found you. Don't have a clue. You are good. Crest is a top tier pontoon. I would put, and I've done several videos. Jeff, I've done several videos on them. Best and worst pontoon. They are in my top tier category. Let's see if I can find the let's see if I can find this here. Yeah, so I put Crest in the top tier. I think Barletta, Manitou are outstanding as far as quality of construction, the thickness of their bracing, the hat channels that Barletta uses, Bennington, Harris, Premier, Crest, Avalo, Tahoe. Godfrey's Aqua Patio, I think are all in that top level. And again, as I always say, pick the level of quality that you want, premium, luxury, whatever you want to call it, that middle of the road, good quality, but the price point's good too. And then the value, which is they cut some things out of the boat to make it as cheap as possible and still seaworthy and safe. But they stitching is going to tear out. It's not going to ride as smooth. It's not going to be as solid. It's going to have more creaks and cracks. Pick that, get the layout that you like, and then the dealer is as important as the brand that you choose. So um, that's what I think is most important. That's what I think is yeah. So we're getting there, Bruce. We're getting there. Let's see here. Used Yamaha versus Sea-Doo. First time boat shopper. Any advice? Oh, that's a different person. Sorry. Okay. Amy, I have a very I'm going to say it's an opinion. I have not owned jet skis. I've not sold jet skis. My father-in-law has a couple of Yamahas that are awesome and they're fun. I'm not a huge fan of buying used jet skis. It's the same thing I talk about in my jet all about jet boat video about and don't buy these boats is older jet boats. One is because the technology wasn't quite there yet, and I'm talking 15 years old, like '07 and back, '06, '07. They made some big increases in the technology and reliability of them. On jet skis, here's why I say I'm not a huge fan of used. Okay, jet boats, jet boats. I'm going to finish this thought just in case there's any jet ski folks out there. Is they just get abused. Jet ski people that buy jet skis, they get them because they're fun and they're fast and they're quick and they just a lot of them don't know how to take care of them properly and so they get abused and there tend to be issues. So um, okay, so Yamaha versus the BRP product. So, the Vortex, the Scarab, versus the Yamaha jet boat. If you again, I'll go back to my all about jet boat video. Let's see here, jet boat. This one right here, all about jet boats. You can see that there. Check that video out. I go into a lot of detail there. Um, I'm gonna go with Yamaha. I think Yamaha is more reliable. And to me, that's the most important thing. Sea-Doo, the BRP product, probably faster, more features, um, more technically advanced, maybe even more prone to have issues. Doesn't mean that you're going to have issues with it, but just more prone to. So if I'm going to spend my money, I'm going to spend my money on a boat that's going to start up and run and not have as many issues on it, especially when you go pre-owned. Because now I don't know exactly how the other guy took care of it. I can do a whole bunch of smart things looking at the toolkit, watching my videos, my first time Boat Buyer Academy on how to inspect it, um, to make sure that I avoid most of those, but it just puts me at more risk. The other thing is Yamaha, 90% market share, Vortex and Scarab, and I feel like I'm forgetting somebody, but are 10% of the market share between those others that are using the BRP engines, which means it's going to be harder to get that boat serviced at times unless I go to a power sports dealer. Power sports dealer, Yamaha BRP is more equally split in market share, and but they won't all work on the boats because they're different. Because the chaparral or the Scarab warranty, they're not going to want to mess with that at the BRP Power Sports dealership, especially if it's a used boat now that's 8 years old. I would stick with Yamaha. I would make sure those clean out ports open up and you can get in there, check that prop shaft. Um, don't buy it without running the boat, and run that thing for a good 20 minutes or more, even 30 minutes, and make sure that engine's firing strong. If it's in salt water, make sure that they flushed it every single time religiously, and I would be scouring that boat for any signs of salt. I don't know if you're salt or not, but those are a couple of things, Amy, that I would look at doing. And I would watch that video too. Watch the All About Jet Boat video. I think you'll probably find some interesting things there that I don't have. I won't go into all the detail. It's a heck 26-minute video that you can find. So hopefully that is valuable for you. Narrowed it down to Crest and Godfrey. Yeah. Now the Godfrey line, there's Godfrey has owned them before. They're owned by the same Polaris that owns Bennington. So Bennington and Godfrey are owned by the same company now. Godfrey has branded everything Godfrey from Sweetwater, Aqua Patio, Sandpan, and Aqua Patio, Sandpan are the top tiers. They might have stopped the Aqua Patio and or no, I'm sorry, the Sandpan and what is it? Monticello is their other brand. But good the Godfrey Aqua Patio, good quality construction. The Sweetwater, that mid tier, maybe value depending on the exact model you look at, but that mid tier, and again, dealer, Anthony, dealer is incredibly important. So, okay, hopefully, Amy, hopefully that was valuable for you too. Anthony, if you haven't watched my best and worst pontoon videos, I think that's a one that would be valuable for you. And if you're interested, um, this video, first time pontoon advice. It's an hour-long video. This one got a little out of control on the time, but it was a live that I did. I go through how they're built, and these two are the same exact videos. I don't know why there's I guess one was the live, one was the replay, and for some reason I named them different. But if you're interested in pontoons, that will just be a interesting video for you to watch, just to kind of get a sense for what are all the things involved that you can't see. So this one right here, what are all the things that you can't see because of the skin underneath? Because once they put the decking down, you just don't notice it, and that might be helpful. Many of the boat manufacturers use wood stringers and floorings. Yes. Grady White, one of the best manufacturers going, the highest level of quality. They still use wood in their stringers. It's all encapsulated. They make sure they put it only in places where it's not going to get drilled into, and it keeps the water out. So encapsulated wood has a lot of outstanding qualities. Sound dampening, it's light, it's got the right qualities of um, flex and rigidity. It's a good combination of that. And so it's still an outstanding material to use in boat construction if it's used properly, if it's fully encapsulated, if there's no way that you're gonna, no way, highly, highly unlikely that you're gonna drill into it and penetrate that seal of the glassed in wood where now moisture can penetrate it. Um, but it's less and less common. Sportsman talks about we've got no wood on our boat. We're totally composite. This is a big marketing point for a lot of manufacturers. Well, that's great, but Sportsman is using styrofoam instead of wood. You know, and it works because it's very light. When you put the glass around the styrofoam, it's incredibly strong. It's incredibly light, but you don't have that same sound dampening quality. If you were to run, and I had the opportunity to do this a lot, like well, let's say like a 99 Sea Ray Select versus a 2009 Sea Ray Sport Boat. The 99, maybe even 97, 96, 97, full wood. They were starting to encapsulate, but it was all wood. The '09s, 2010s, they were taking the wood out of the boat. The 95, 96 was quieter. It was more solid. It felt better because of the wood. They took the wood out, encapsulated everything, and said, "No, we can't use wood. It's gonna rot." The ride of the boat was not as nice. It wasn't as quiet. It wasn't as smooth. So there's still a place for wood. It just has to be used right. And if you do an older boat that's got wood in it, you just got to make sure that it's been taken care of. It was dry and all that. So, use jet skis, used and abused. That's exactly, Brock, the point I was in a long way. You got a lot more succinct than I am. But, yeah, it's the nature of the person that buys that boat, or that product. It is, "Hey, I can't afford a $15,000, $30,000 boat, but I can get a $10,000 jet ski. I can have a great time. I'm probably on the younger side. I'm probably on the more speed demon side, the more adventurous side, you know, maybe the maintenance, maybe the hitting the wakes and getting that impeller out of the water and spinning at super high RPMs happens a little more often than I would want it to. So, all right, 70. Glad to find that I'm still alive. um, Well, Ray, I'm glad that you're still here with us. I'm glad that you're going to be out enjoying your Bennington. You deserved it. Um, it is best to point the bow of the boat upstream, bow, anchor, and stern. Keeps the current wake that might hit the boat. Been watching some of the older videos. Um, is it best to point? Yes. So here's what in my best boat captain training, when I talk about setting the anchor, is I say, get to the spot that you want to be. Okay. So take your boat to that spot and just put it in neutral. Let the elements do what they're going to do. They're going to spin you. The current's going to take you, and your bow's going to point into a certain direction. And it's probably going to point into the wind. Okay. Um, What I'm gonna do from there is I'm gonna drive up the depth of the water, whatever my scope is gonna be. So I may drive up 20 yards, and that's where I'm gonna drop the anchor. So the anchor is gonna pull me back, and the wind's gonna be in my face, which means the waves are gonna be coming at me, and they're gonna break on the bow. Hux, in the type of lakes that I expect that you boat in, it's not as big a deal. But if you're boating on the river up there, yeah, you want that current to be coming into the bow if you're anchored out, so that the bow can do its work. If you do it the opposite way and those waves get big enough, they can come over the back and they can swamp you. And that's why you do it that way. So that those videos that you found are accurate in my opinion. The old boat's a lot quieter. 95 bass boat, good bit quieter than my new Ranger. Yeah, it's that use of wood. Wood, fantastic material if you can do things to avoid the rot, and that means glassing it in and making sure that you don't then drill into that glassed in wood, which is some of the problem with the when they were using it. They would glass in the deck, and then they would mount a seat pedestal and they would drill into it and not seal it up. Well, every time that water got in the boat, it went right down that screw hole, and that's where your rot started. So no stringer. Yes, yeah, there's stringers in a jet boat. Your Yamaha has a stringer system in it. It's essentially the stringers are just the joists of the boat. You know, the floor joists of the boat, where they'll run out and then they'll come in. That's what are they, laterals? There's another name for the ones that go sideways, but essentially it's the stringer system. And they'll have a jig or some type of something to build it from. They'll put it together outside the boat. They'll set it in the boat at the proper place, and then they'll glass that into the hull of the boat to give it the structure. And every manufacturer, the better ones, are going to do a better job of that whole process, and be they're not just going to glass it. They're going to put a lot of um, the right material. I don't know what it is, the woven or whatever the mat that they're using, and they're going to do it. The Ken Clinton, the CEO of Intrepid Boats, he does a lot of videos on LinkedIn. They just sold to uh, whoever they sold to. I'm blanking on it. Oh crap! Who did they sell to? They sold to. They didn't sell to Marine Max. Anyway, they just sold to somebody recently, and I'm blanking on it, but he did a great video about how they glass in their stringer system and how they do it in a way that's the best way possible. Their boats are designed to go offshore, and they're known for being some of the best riding boats out there. And it's an interesting video if you're on LinkedIn. Ken Clinton from Intrepid Boats, and you can find that. I think it was 2 weeks ago, maybe that I ran across that. Trying to head to the Indianapolis show. Anyone you wouldn't been lately? Hate voice texting. There, I was trying to figure that out, Troy. So thank you for getting that. Going to the Indianapolis boat show. Um, I'm not going to be in Indy next week. Yeah, next week is Charlotte show is this weekend, and then next weekend I'm in Knoxville at the PBR, the professional bull riding event on that weekend, and so I'm not going to be boat showing then. But let me know what the rest of your question was there, because um I'm not getting it, Troy. Put that in there and I'll get back to you. Okay. New subscriber, been watching your wonderful videos. Thanks for the information. As me and my family make our decision on which tri-tune to buy, Damien, you are very welcome. That is exactly what the channel exists for. That is when I started with my first couple videos. If you look, my very first video is advice for first time boat buyers. Exactly where it started. They got traction. People were enjoying it. And okay, Marine Max is who bought Intrepid. I thought that was, I think that's what I said, or Brunswick, but thank you for that, Brock. But I'm very glad that you're here. I'm very glad that 30 people, we hit it. I'm very glad that 30 people find it worth their time to sit and join me and listen to me, and making friends like Hux, like Brock, who did the live with me last weekend, and we had a ball. I That was one of the funnest ones, and I always get a kick out of doing these. And it was a lot of fun to have a partner to chit chat back and forth with, and that was a really good time. It worked out way better than I would have had expected it to. I wasn't sure what to expect. So um 22 classic STD. Let's see, Jeff. Let me put that in some context here. Okay, I'm not sure. I think the classic is Crest. Um but I think that's what the classic is. So yeah, just get the details. Check out the first time pontoon videos. Check out the best and worst videos. There's a whole pontoon playlist that I've got set up that you can look at um, somewhere in there. If I've tried to organize this best I can, the because with 200 plus videos closing in on 300, I think I I needed to get some organization in there. So check out those playlists, and you can find something. Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate it. We're in South Bend, Indiana. No Harris is at the boat show. Yeah, the Harris dealer here in Charlotte is not going. The Bennington dealer here in Charlotte is not going to the show. Let's see, what does the boat rack have? I think they've got South Bay and Premier, maybe. No, they're not Premier. That's them. But yeah, so three of the major pontoon manufacturers, those dealers aren't going in the Charlotte market, and it's always a pretty decent show. Um, Okay. All right, Jeff. All right, gotcha. I try to keep up. I try to keep up with everything that's going on, and when things are coming in quick, I can miss a comment and miss some context. So, all right, we're coming up on an hour here. I am happy to stay on for a little bit longer if we've got some more questions. While I'm waiting for that, I'm going to do my little commercials here for the First Time Boat Buyer Academy. If you're a first time boater, let me see if I can find. I'll pull this here. Um, if you're a first time boater, that First Time Boat Buyer Academy is, hey, a lot of it is information you can get right here on the channel. It's in a more succinct, easier to follow kind of setup, but and there's additional new information that's in there. But the big thing is, um, this is an email thread I got from Brandon. He said it was okay to show this. So was talking about he got the price increase of 8.5%, right? And I gave him some advice. If you invest in my programs, I try to be responsive on emails. I'm getting too many emails that I can't be responsive to. I can't be responsive to everybody that asks a question of me because I'm getting more and more of those. So if you've invested in a program or have supported the channel in a financial way, I try to do everything I can to give you that insight. If you invest in the one-on-one support, which there's an option for that, you take priority. But he said we were going back and forth the price. I gave him some advice. Just want to let you know, use your method, and the dealer came down $2,500 in price. So I don't know if you can see that how small that is, but so he just sent that to me on the 3rd, February 3rd, so a couple days ago. That's the value of the academy. And that's, regardless of what people say about prices being high or whatever, they're still negotiable. You can still get some discounts out there. And so check out that First Time Boat Buyers Academy if you're interested. It's got the money back guarantee, like everything that I do. If you are a boat operator, I just released the video of Rhonda from Myrtle Beach. She's a character. We had a fun conversation. I released that conversation of her running her pontoon for the very, very first time, putting it on the dock like a champ, impressing the hell out of her dealer that had been in the business for 30, 40 years or whatever, putting it on the trailer. And so those programs are available. Trailer Like a Pro, Tow Water Sports with Confidence, all of that's out there. And then the free stuff, the Boater Boot Camp and the toolkit. If you want to grab that, just boatbuyersecretweapon.com. Okay. So that was and then the Boater Boot Camp coming soon to the website. It's not done yet. I shot it once. I was out. There was snow in the background. I didn't do a good job. The sun was super, super bright. It didn't work the way I wanted it to. So I'm reshooting that one this coming week. And those of you that are waiting for the saltwater coastal version and the twin version, I'm expecting to have those out March, April timeframe. So on the best boat captain program. All right, that's the commercials. And thank you for everybody that supported the channel, whether it's donating here on these lives, whether it's buying one of the programs, whether it's just making a contribution, joining the membership on the site. That's all very much appreciated. All right, we are in Simpsonville, South Carolina. We'll be trailering upstate lakes. Just went to Greenville Boat Show because of you. We're leaning towards the South Bay. Awesome. Damien, I went the Greenville show is the same weekend as the Charleston show. I went to both of them last week, but I know the pontoon market incredibly well because I'm a freshwater guy. I'm a pontoon guy at heart. That's my boat. That's what I prefer to boat on is a tritoon. I think it's a great setup. I worked the Greenville show many times when I was selling boats, and it's a great show. I'm glad you got some value. And I don't know who the South Bay dealer is down there, but But that's awesome. That's awesome. Troy, there's a Bennington Harris dealer in LaPorte. All right, so it looks like we got an Indiana connection, which is good. I also like that. I get a kick out of seeing um people making connections in the comment section and maybe even offline. I don't know, but I like that. How many hours would be a concern? So if it's a gasoline engine running fresh water, I'm going to say 1,000 to 1,500 hours is the useful life. Now, I know the commercial guys are going to put 5,000 hours on that motor, but they're going to run it consistently. They're going to do their maintenance every 3 weeks, and pleasure boaters just don't do that. That it's just you're going to put 50 to 100, 200 hours is a lot for a pleasure boater to put on their boat every year. Yes, it can be done, but so 1,000 hours at 200 is 5 years. At 50 hours is 20 years. I'm more concerned about that time and the maintenance that it's taken. So 1,000 to 1,500 on a generator. Um, you know, I would venture to say at least that, but I really don't know, Sean. That's a question I've not been asked. That's a an answer I don't have off the top of my head. So I would need to do a little bit of research on that one. What I'm most concerned about, though, is the maintenance that happened during those hours. Um, and what I mean by that is a boat that's been incredibly well maintained with 700 hours. I'm more excited than an engine with 300 hours that hasn't been taken care of. That's maybe overheated and has low compression because of a warp cylinder or something like that. And so it's both. You got to make sure that both are there. If it's getting on the high end of hours, I would you should pull compression regardless because a 1 year old boat can overheat and cause damage and have issues. It can be, they can do something dumb to it and looks like a perfect boat, looks like a great deal, but could be a disaster. The older the boat, the more likely there's been issues. The more owners, the more likely there's been issues. The less expensive the brand of boat, the more likely there's been deferred maintenance or they were a first time boater and didn't know exactly what they were doing and made some of the mistakes that I talk about in one of my recent videos is 7 engine killers. So, but that would kind of be a ballpark. 1,000 to 1,500 hours is sort of the useful life of a pleasure boat gas engine. In saltwater, the saltwater maintenance is even more important. And, um, it can shorten the life for sure of that. Jet boat version, Rob, is going to be the last one I do. It's the smallest segment of the marketplace. I'm going to have to get and there's twin and single jets. So I would have to do probably two different versions or at least have a component for twins because there's a couple of different things that you can do with twins that you can't do with the single. So that one, um, I would venture to say summertime because I can do that one myself. Um, but I'm gonna have to get access to a jet boat. I'm gonna have to probably try to get access to a single and a twin, and so I would guess summertime sometime. Troy, my wife was blown away with my pontoon knowledge. Told her it's because of your YouTube videos. That's awesome. Thank you, Troy. I appreciate that. You are very, very welcome. Water Sports Central in Seneca's the South Bay dealer in upstate. Yeah, that I don't know Water Sports Central. I know their reputation is good, but I don't know anybody there. I know a couple people at the Marine Max um, there. I know who else do I know in Greenville? I know a couple other people in Greenville, but yeah, South Bay. I think South Bay is what you said that you were looking at. Um, yeah, South Bay. Um, that is my parents have a 22 South Bay. It's a 14 maybe. And it's nice. It is exactly what they need. So, all right, y'all. Thank you all very much for joining me again. We will continue these every Sunday, except for Super Bowl Sunday, um, which is coming up this weekend. Next Sunday is Super Bowl Sunday. So I will not try to compete with the Super Bowl. Um, I'll go head to head with the Rams in the playoffs, but I'm not going to try to compete with the Super Bowl. So I'll probably move that to a weekday. That will be after the Charlotte show. So I'll do the Charlotte show on probably Friday and Saturday. Maybe try to do Greensboro that weekend as well. Maybe I'll do it. I don't know. Let me see. Let me see. I might do it Thursday. If you're subscribed to the channel, hit the bell. That'll get you notifications when I put out announcements, and I will schedule it when I know when I'm going to do it. But this will be one of the few times where it's kind of up in the air. So thank you guys very much, Damien. You're very welcome. Have a good night. Okay, I like that. I like that, Hux. Come up to Minnesota and better in the summertime after what the water probably warms up in late June. I'm going to the Ozarks at the end of June, July. I'm going to be spending a week in Knoxville the end of July. That might, you know what? Let me maybe take you up on that. Because that could be good. So, Anthony, you are very welcome. Amy, you are very welcome. Thank you all for supporting the channel, watching the videos, hitting those like buttons. That it's a little thing, but hitting the like buttons makes a big difference for getting the video seen by new people that haven't found it yet. It tells YouTube that this is good content that others should check out, and I appreciate it. Y'all have a great week, and we'll talk to you sometime next weekend. Appreciate it, everybody.